I was saying hi, Gloria.
Barbara, do you need anything before, we start the meeting at 6:30 or
I
anything?
don't think so.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
We have 10 minutes, more than 10 minutes. John, we're still waiting for Marty to come. Oh, is Rebecca here?
No,
I think Rebecca Seawright is here. If she's here,
no,
let.
it's Dylan.
Oh, it's Dylan? That's great. Thanks, Dylan, for coming.
Barbara, while we're waiting, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
John, can you tell us, they changed the React button, and you used to have a coffee cup on there where you could put up if you went away from your computer. Do you know what happened to it, or?
They made it difficult now, so you'd have to go to the under the React option and actually search for the coffee cup now.
Well,
For the React.
I get a lot of emojis.
Yeah, there's like a search bar and it's gonna ask you to like just type
All I
in
get, oh,
coffee.
search. Okay, so
Yeah,
what do I put in coffee cup?
yes, or just coffee.
But don't leave us, Judy.
I'm not leaving. I just want to know where it is for meetings, and I keep meaning to ask.
Well, I learned something great that
Okay, it
we can
didn't
do a
come up.
transcript of our meeting.
Okay, John, it didn't come up. I put in
Didn't come up.
coffee and I put in coffee cup and it didn't come up under the search bar.
Okay. I'll try to help you.
All I get is a
go-
bunch of emojis.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not coming up because I searched it before and it should work from on your end as well.
Yeah, what did you put in?
I just put coffee. Also, Marty is here. Also, just want to let you know,
Is
Barbara.
Marty here?
Yes.
Great. Can you want to I don't see him.
Good evening,
Ah,
everyone. How are
Hi.
we?
How is everybody? Thank you. Should we?
Thanks for having me tonight, Barbara.
Well, thank
Thank you.
you so much. We appreciate it so much that you're here. And you know I'm going to mess up your last name, so you'll have to correct it, okay?
Marty Fatu, but no big deal. No big deal. I've heard it all. And Barbara, before we start, and I know you have to call it to order and everything, I just wanted to say, Will and John are great at what they do, and CB8 is in great hands at the management level.
We know that.
Humberto, who's been here longer than me, has shared you have been both great partners. So we hope to continue the partnership.
That you say that. And there's a couple of others that are also great. But yes, we know that. And thank you so much for saying it. Right, John? Should we get started now? What time is it? Sure.
6:31.
I want to get started on time because I know that Marty has an IT deadline that they're doing some work. So we want to get started. I'm sure more people will be showing up. Are more people showing up? I'm not sure I'm seeing everybody. And I know more people will be coming. I know Sahar. I'll just get started introduce, and then I'll introduce John that will tell us. So we're the Sanitation Environment Committee, and we've been doing a series of meetings to discuss what can we do about climate change. And in this turbulent time of uncertainty about funding, we were so pleased that Marty was be able to come. Marty Fatu, am I right? Has been the is the Manhattan Borough Commissioner of Department of Environment Protection. He's going to tell us what that is, what all they do, and possibly what we should be worried about, and then answer all of our questions, I'm sure. So I'm so pleased to have him. But before we do that, John's going to give an overview, and thank you, John, for all the work he's done. And you'll give us an overview of what needs to be done. And by the way, if Sahar comes, I do have two co-chairs. Oh, is Sahar here?
Yes, I am. Hi, Barbara.
I am
Don't
co-chair.
disturb.
Yes, I am co-chair of the Environment Committee with Sahar Hussein and Addison Lev, who is not here because he's graduating from Columbia and as a Phi Beta Kappa, by the way, and he's doing very, very well. So, very busy with that, but he knows everything that's happening. So thank you. And John?
Yes. Welcome all. If this is your first time joining us virtually, you will notice that you're all currently muted. And everyone will remain muted throughout the meeting except for the co-chairs and any presenters as we move through the agenda. Following the presentations, as we move through the agenda, the co-chairs will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can speak by going to the icon on your device and pressing the raise hand button, not the wave or thumbs up button, as those disappear. Press it only once. If you press it a second time, your hand will go down. If you're calling your phone, you have to press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once the co-chairs call on you. The chat is available for technical support only, not to ask co-chairs questions. They will not be able to see the chat. If you are using an older version of Zoom, you'll have to go to the Participants section where you will find the raise hand feature there. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen as we may not be able to see you. Chat may need technical support.
Thank you so much, John. Marty, do you want to get started? Give us all information
Yes.
about DEP.
Good evening, everyone.
And everything. Thank you, Marty.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Barbara, for making this happen tonight. My name is Martin Fatu. I go by Marty. I am your Manhattan Borough Commissioner here with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. I'm here today from our downtown Manhattan office. We try to stay in the borough as much as we can. And I guess I'll quickly, just share some tidbits quickly, and then we can get into, I know what you really want to talk about, and we're happy to do that. So a little bit about myself. I have been able to serve New York City for just over 3 years. And, in the 7 years that I've been in the, in the professional world, I have dedicated most of that to public service. I wake up every day and I'm very grateful to be able to give back and to serve New Yorkers. Public service is a great calling. And DEP is a great agency. Before I was at DEP, I was at the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, and then I was sent over to help on the migrant and asylum seeker response which of course is still big in the news. So what I love about DEP is we do a lot of climate work, right? But we're also a very operational agency. We do emergency response with the sewers. We do climate. We do green infrastructure. We do noise inspections. We enforce the noise code for any commercial buildings. And John and will often flag stuff for us for the noise inspections. And we work with a lot of community boards as commercial and construction noise, seem to be a big issue in a lot of the different community boards in Manhattan. The DEP as an organization, we are a city agency. We are not the Environmental Protection Agency at the federal level. We are essentially the water department. We are the nation's largest municipal water utility at the local level. We provide New Yorkers with over 1 billion gallons of water every day. And we do, and that's across the 5 boroughs. And we do that with water, and I'm actually drinking some right now, and I hope you are too, from our dozens of watersheds. The big ones are the Delaware Aqueduct up in Kingston, New York, and then also the Croton watershed, which is a little closer to New York City. And those feed through our pipelines that were built, over 100 years ago. And we continue to make, updates and improvements there. And they bring the water down to our Jerome Avenue reservoir in the Bronx, and then that gets fed throughout the city. We are a family really, of 6,000 employees. 6,000 of the 6,000, at least 2,500 to 3,000 are upstate at our watersheds. The DEP for New York City actually is a huge employer in many of our upstate counties, just to protect and maintain our reservoirs for New York City drinkers of waters for all New Yorkers. In addition to water, we oversee the sewer operations, the water mains. We maintain those. Our Bureau of Water and Sewer Operations. Those are the people that you see on the ground, off Fifth Avenue with the ponding. They've got the DEP trucks, right? They're great people. Always say hello if you see them. But they are out there and they repair, install, and maintain and respond to emergency water main breaks, sewage backups that are on city water main lines. And of course, we work with a lot of the private plumbers for private buildings when you do, knock on wood, if you don't get a sewage backup. Here in Manhattan, we see a lot of ponding, right? And I think, Barbara, we talked a little bit about that before the meeting tonight. Ponding is something that we're trying to better address here in Manhattan. A lot of that comes down to DOT milling the sidewalk. So last year we did a lot of work with DOT where our BWSO folks went out with the DOT pavers and we identified hotspots. We're trying to get additional funding to do that again. But again, our BWSO, our water and sewer operations, are the bread and butter of the day-to-day issues here. And then, of course, we do all the commercial noise enforcement. Door-to-door neighbor noise enforcement, of course, is conducted by the New York City Police Department, our partners in public safety. And then, of course, we do all types of climate adaptation projects throughout the 5 boroughs, resiliency projects. We've got a number of resiliency projects here in the borough of Manhattan. And we actually have just created, the mayor and the DP commissioner, my boss, Rit Agrawal, who
as a
is
community board member.
Yes, and was my old neighbor. I actually used to be an Upper East Side resident, and I really miss it. But Commissioner Agrawal, who has just been a tremendous leader on many fronts, he's also the city's chief climate officer, which gives him an opportunity to really advise the mayor and City Hall and work with our private partners as well, our academia partners, on climate mitigation, adaptation, and resiliency projects. And so that's a really special thing that he has. And he also oversees the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. And they're really our climate, environmental justice, adaptation think tank. They're the policy shop behind a lot of what DEP and our Department of Design and Construction actually go out and do. With regard to, I want to hit on a few of the points. What I can share, and I have shared this with Barbara. Unfortunately, I'm here in an official capacity with the City of New York. So of course, everything I say is on behalf of the City of New York. But at the same time, New Yorkers deserve people that are climate conscious, that believe in climate change, deserve to know what New York City is doing in response to what we're seeing out of Washington, but additionally, what we are doing to what are we doing to continue our vital work. So, again, we are a water utility, right? That is our primary focus. In addition to the climate and the adaptation strategies, everything is important, but we really try to focus on the fact that we are the utility. But the dangers at the city that we have seen, that we've faced from extreme weather events, I would assume most folks were here for Sandy. Most folks were here for Ida. We had a big September 29th, 2023 weather event, which, shocked the entire, all 5 boroughs had some damage there. This is the new normal, right? It's not going to go away. It's a matter, the next storm, the next superstorm is a matter, it's a matter of when, rather than if. And that's why we're putting a lot of emphasis on some of the projects that I'm going to be talking about briefly. It's so important. And not just in Manhattan, our heaviest flood prone areas of the city, Southeast Queens, the Rockaways, the North and South Shore of Staten Island, and of course, below Canal Street. But that's and then also South Brooklyn's, but it's all over. And we try to treat every single neighborhood and borough, equally, but also really specifically target what the individual neighborhood needs are from our perspective and your perspective. And that's why the community boards and working with the community boards are so important. With that said, federal funds are important. We use federal funds to fund large parts of our flood mitigation and the strategies for climate adaptation. I'll be 100% honest here. We expect approximately $200 million in federal funding could be cut. Now, the BRIC grants, right? And I don't know if anyone knows what BRIC grants are, but those go to cloudburst, are like cloudburst projects, some of our resiliency work, basically ways to maintain the water supply here and hold that storage when we get big storms. BRIC was actually, and it actually started with bipartisan support when we had the current president in his first term. Hopefully, and again, it's a hope, but, and we're not necessarily, holding out on this, but, we hope he understands that this was very helpful the last time, he was in office. He saw that Democrats and Republicans can come together, and this had unwavering support from the House of Representatives and the Senate on both sides. We are waiting, for additional guidance. Conversations are being had. Of course, those conversations are above my pay grade. And of course, we can't share too much publicly, right? But again, this is something we're focused on. And we are also really doubling down on city capital funding, on our state partners, right? The State Department of Environmental Conservation, as well as the State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. They are also big partners for us, and we do get funding from the state. And of course, as I said, the city capital. A lot of the coastal resiliency projects, the one you see on the East River, the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project, that has been one of the first projects planned post-Sandy. We have the Brooklyn Manhattan Coastal Resiliency Project. We have the Battery Coastal Resiliency Project, right? We're basically, we are reinforcing and protecting the seawall around Manhattan. And a lot of that still does have city capital funding. Did we lose some federal funding? Will we lose some federal funding? I think we can all acknowledge that. However, majority of a lot of these projects are still coming from city capital funding. Additionally, there's also a lot of other preventative measures we're taking, and also legislation that I wanted to address too. We have the green roof tax abatement. Green roofs are great ways for storage of water during rainstorms. So essentially, and this was something that Commissioner Agarwal really pushed last year. It got signed into law by the governor, received citywide elected support, and essentially, New York City homeowners can actually get an abatement, a tax abatement, if they're able to do a green roof on their roof. So it used to be you had to have at least 50% capacity for a green roof and to get the abatement. We went back to Albany. The mayor and the commissioner and our mayor's office of climate and environmental justice, they went back to Albany, and we pushed for that capacity to be actually taken to 25%. So that allowed people more access to the program, and we wanted to increase participation in the program. But these, of course, going back to the funding cuts still do keep us in jeopardy. And again, we're still holding out there, but want to be very, very, very clear that the BRIC grant, that whole program started under the first Trump administration, and which is very odd in terms of why. But flooding and storms and extreme weather events, whether people believe in climate change or they don't, it's the new normal, and everybody is affected. It doesn't matter which congressional district you live in. It could be the Hudson Valley in a Republican district, and it could be, in AOC's district, right? It really does not matter. It's a bipartisan issue. We're doing flood insurance reform at the federal level with Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, and I believe Senator Booker of New Jersey took over the Democratic side of that legislation. That's also something that we continue to push for. NFIP reform, the National Flood Insurance Program reform. Of course, home buyers and home renters insurance, ensuring that our home buyers and our home renters have disclosure of flood damage and anything else that's been caused by storms for when they decide to move into a new apartment or they buy their first home. That's really important to us. We're all about protecting all New Yorkers, especially working class New Yorkers, our renters and our first-time home buyers. I'm going to quickly go through just a few of the projects, and I'm not going to be able to give full numbers on the amount of the city capital funding, but I can tell you that the Battery Manhattan Coastal Resiliency Project, again, Battery Park City, which is still in the planning phase, East Side Coastal Resiliency Project, where we've just put up our floodgates along the East River, and it will assist CB8, even though it's down a little further, 23rd near Astor Levy Pool on the FDR. We are going to be beginning to operate those floodgates in just a matter of weeks, could be days, and I'll keep you informed of all of that. And of course, the Parks Department, they've done a great job from Sutton Place down to close to the United Nations building on their waterfront project as well. So hopefully we can continue to move that up there to, all the way. I would love to see it go all the way up to East Harlem and beyond, the whole way up. Anyways, the other two items I also wanted to address as well, and I'm happy to get into questions in just a moment, are two things. We have a lien sale. So one of the things we've been pushing with our community board partners as well as Manhattan partners is we want New Yorkers to avoid the lien sale. The lien sale is when you don't pay your water bill. A lot of the buildings in CB8, you probably are held harmless on your water bill, but any sort of brownstones or walk-ups, you could be affected by this. We have payment plans. We'll work with you, but you have to enroll in our payment plans before June 2nd. The Department of Finance just extended that today, so it's been extended 2 weeks. But if you do not enter in a payment plan with us, you could be at jeopardy of being in the lien sale. And we're working tirelessly across city agencies with our elected official partners and our agency partners to ensure that we get the word out on that. And I sent some info over to John on that, and please feel free to share that far and wide. Of course, most of you probably not affected by it, but you never know. Secondly, our DEP Bureau of Public Affairs, the team I'm on, as well as our operations team and fleet, will be out at Randall's Island. There's an event for East Harlem and the Upper East Side this weekend. It's called Big Truck Day, where we're going to be bringing out one of our dump trucks and catch basin trumps for kids and their families. Please feel free to share that as well We love engaging with the public. We love the public to learn about more of what we do every day to keep the water running in New York, as well as our very, very vital and important climate and adaptation strategies. And I think I'm happy to take questions unless.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask a quick one. Give me the definition of utility. Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry, Marty, you're muted.
Hold on.
Okay. Did you hear me?
Am I sorry,
Yeah,
could you
hear you now?
you're
Yeah.
asking so
Just
We can hear you.
the definition of utility is
the D so I mean I think sorry, I just almost fell out of my chair. Excuse me. The definition of utility to us is we provide clean drinking water, just like Con Ed provides gas, right? Most homeowners pay a water bill if you're in a single family home. I know that does not impact CB8 as much, but you'll see on like we're a utility because you see we have our meters on each building. Now, the actual definition of utility, according to the dictionary, of course, is a useful or beneficial thing. If that's what you were asking.
Are you, I guess what I was getting at, are you only city or I think of Con Ed as not being city. I mean, maybe controlled by the city, but sort of a private organization. You keep getting muted. You're muted again.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about that. Yes, we serve New York City. We are the nation's largest local municipal water.
So it's all city.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like even the reservoirs that I was talking to, the Croton watershed, that's for New York City drinkers. So all of the New Yorkers receive water from those two watersheds. Those pipes go all the way down, and I would love to show you the pipes and images. It's absolutely incredible. The engineering genius that happened. Yeah, we should. Open House New York is a great way to engage with many of our facilities. You probably see our Newtown Creek facility where we do the wastewater treatment. Those are those big barrels. They're actually right behind, on the other wall, but they're over in Newtown Creek on the other side of the East River. The last thing I wanted to also add too is, speaking of utility, we are upgrading. We're doing a huge capital upgrade in Manhattan to our Lower Manhattan pump station facility, which covers the entire borough. Construction starting in just a few weeks. We're going to be able to pump almost double of what we're currently pumping over to the Newtown Creek wastewater treatment plant, as well as the North River. So that's a big win for us. That funding is secured. They cannot take that away from us.
So they'll take the wastewater from the sewers and so on. Would that make less flooding of the sewers? You're muted again. You must touch something, Marty.
Sorry, I don't know who's running the controls, but I don't know. It's the host is.
I'm not muting you. I'm not muting you at all.
Okay.
So I don't know.
All right. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So to your question, yes, we are pumping water to the wastewater treatment facility. So given we're doing that almost double, like what that potential will be, that'll allow us to have better capacity so that the sewers don't flood and overflow.
Oh, and I love that.
They don't back up. So that's a big win for us. But again, we have to work with our partners at the MTA and a lot of the different agencies, because whenever we do construction in Manhattan, doesn't matter where, we're affecting small businesses, big businesses, schools, residents such as yourselves, right? So we're doing a ton of outreach down there. Our like capital construction team, I did ask them a few days ago if they had anything on capital on the like coming up east. Currently not, but I'm going to keep checking in on that. A lot of the work is also done by DDC as well. But yes, this will help us push that water out even quicker so we avoid those types of issues.
Okay.
Oh, great.
John, is there anybody raising a hand from the public? I see Judy's hand is up, and I know she's going to be asking. Judy?
Judy needs to be unmuted.
Yeah. Can you unmute? Is Judy getting unmuted?
She's unmuted.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was very interesting,
yeah. It's
Uh,
very interesting.
Commissioner. Cou- uh, couple of comments. You are doing a project. You have been doing a project in our community board since 2015, the York Avenue water main and sewer replacement from 60th up to almost 64th Street on York Avenue. So, and that's supposedly coming to a conclusion by the end of the summer. So we're happy to have it done, and we're happy to finally see it come to an ending. I do have a couple of questions which you may or may not have any response to, but maybe you could get back to us. I've been talking to your department, I'm co-chair of the Parks Committee, about the reservoir in Central Park, and they keep saying they're going to make a presentation to us. It's been over a year now, and they still don't have a date to come to us. Do you know when that's going to happen? Or maybe somebody could, I've been talking to Umberto Galazar. Maybe
Yes.
maybe somebody could get back to us with the date on that. Okay, that's
Absolutely.
one.
Yeah.
And the other is, if somebody could just look out, there was a big thing at Rupert Park, which I know Sahar, that's her park, about the water installation for the new bathrooms, etc., which finally DEP and Parks had a meeting last month and came to a conclusion. Parks was supposed to have sent you the paperwork. I'm just asking, can DEP please look at their paperwork and get it back to them as soon as possible? They have all the funding, and this is holding up the renovation of the park, which now maybe is 3 years. Do I have that right, Sahar? It's about 3 years or more. So if you could just be on the lookout for that, or if there's any way you could push that into going forward, it would really be appreciated by the community board. And then my last comment is, I'm in the 60s, and 62nd Street is never mentioned when we talk about the flooding on the FDR. The last major hurricane we had a lot of flooding 62nd Street. It came up to York Avenue, and nobody ever talks about that area.
It's in the 70s also, Judy, I think.
Yes,
right?
I know, but they talk
Yeah.
about every place
But-
else,
oh, but
but
they don't
no
talk
one
about
ever talks about the 60s. So since I have you here, I just thought I'd bring it to your attention that we shouldn't be overlooked.
And
Hence why we have these borough commissioner roles that they're rolling out, so that we have more of a on the ground presence to advocate for every single neighborhood throughout Manhattan. Judy, can I answer a few of your questions, or
Sure,
Barbara, what do
go
you?
right
Sure,
ahead.
please do.
Okay. So yes, I am aware of the Rupert Park situation. I'm also aware of York. I was more referring to stuff that's coming on the front burner in terms of new capital. But Humberto, who's on my team, he got me up to speed with a lot of that. With regard to Rupert and with regard to the reservoir. So the Central Park Reservoir, and folks probably heard about the swan situation. I think there was or the geese. That was a big thing. But the reservoir itself is still DEP property, but of course it's in Central Park and it's not operable. Like it's not in operation for our drinking water. With that being said, I actually met with my great counterpart at Parks, Commissioner Shimamura, yesterday, and
A
we
CB8 member.
yes, yes, and anyways, she also flagged Rupert Park for me as well. They're doing some follow up there, and I will definitely keep that at the top of my requests with them as to when we'll have a meeting on the like reservoir as well. I will see if we have timeline there. I'll check with I'll check with Humberto twice, and then I'll go over to Parks. But yes, happy to get updates for you on that.
You may be waiting. There was a meeting between DEP and Parks, but you may be waiting for Parks paperwork. I don't know if they ever sent you the final paperwork. So
I
maybe,
haven't seen it, but that's why we're going to check in. Yeah.
okay, great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Wait,
Thank
Judy,
you.
why aren't you asking more about the Esplanade? Shouldn't you be asking about what's going on there, or that's not DEP?
Well,
Parks, EDC, yeah.
it's
Right.
Parks and EDC mostly.
Oh,
And
EDC.
actually, I'm having a meeting on part of the Esplanade, a phone meeting tomorrow on the upper part of the Esplanade. So we're pretty much up to date on that, Barbara.
Okay, that's what I thought
Barbara,
you were going to ask.
Barbara,
Yes.
sorry. Could I please just address one more thing from
Sure,
Judy?
please do.
Ms. Schneider, you had mentioned the flooding on the FDR, right? And coming up.
Right.
That's not something that we've forgotten about. And I know maybe it seems, from the public side that, it's overlooked because of, other boroughs and other big stories during Sandy and other big storms. But even on heavy rain events, I got 6 or 7 different bad ponding calls just like yesterday, right? I mean, it's been storming the last few days. It's a huge issue. And, that's why, in the beginning of my, the conversation of my talk, I had raised, I really hope, I'm really going to push that we can work with DOT jointly. Our ops people, they're millers, and we go out there and we really start, working on these repavements and, of course, the sidewalks, because those can really, once those are milled and repaved, that can prevent some of it. Of course, we're always going to have ponding in Manhattan. That's not going away. But I do think there are ways to mitigate that. And that's through, both the ponding, the milling, and then, of course, cleaning, making sure our catch basins are cleaned, always ensuring, right before a major storm. And that's what DEP does on that end.
Let me ask one more question. With the catch basins, if people complain that there's a specific catch basin in their area that needs to be cleaned, who do they report? Do they report that to 311, which always seems to take forever, or do they go directly to you folks to report it?
You're muted again.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're catch basins for the most part. MTA has their own catch basins, other agencies, but you know what? I'm not big on the punting. So you come right to us. My email is manhattandep@dep.nyc.gov. I get all emails from there, and then of course you can reach out to me at mfatooh @DEP. I sent those over to the CB management team. I was trying to do an everyone message, but I think it goes to the
John,
host.
did you put those in the chat?
But sorry, Judy, if I may,
John
just really quick. Sorry, just to finish here.
Right.
We can help navigate those requests because I work hand in hand with our borough manager, as does Humberto, right? But we're really trying to encourage the public to utilize our 311 system. What is most effective, and again, I haven't been here that long, but what I have found most effective with constituent concerns is you file a 311, send us a service number, send that to me, send that to Humberto. We will track it and we will follow up directly with our Bureau of Water and Sewer Operations that handle that. So we always want to, and I put in 311 requests too for my own stuff. And, there's always, there can be response issues. Not all the time. We got to improve on it. But if you can get me that service request number, that's always preferred, but we're always happy to expedite and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Who else has questions? I have several questions.
No worries.
Always, but is there any other hands up, John?
Barbara, why don't you go ahead? There is one, Francine.
Francine, thank you. If we can unmute Francine, John.
Good afternoon. I'm a resident here at the Kohler, and
Yes, on Roosevelt Island.
yes, and I'm wondering, sir, have you heard anything about the berm project?
Marty, are you muted again? Something?
Yeah. Anytime someone asks a question, I think the system automatically does it, but no big deal. It's no one's fault. It's fully our
Right.
IT. I'm not familiar with the project, but I would be more than happy to follow up with you on specifics. Could you please give me the name of the project again?
Resiliency project. Polar resiliency project.
Which one?
Polar. C.
Kohler, yeah, COLER. Kohler is one of our public hospitals, part of the health and hospital system, and they're in Roosevelt Island.
Correct.
Thank you, Francine.
So thank you, Francine. And it's really nice to meet you. And I hope that we can, I really look forward to working with you and everyone else on Roosevelt Island. A lot going on out there. H&H Health and Hospitals are doing a ton of resiliency work with a lot of their different campuses, especially in the outer boroughs, but also on Roosevelt Island. As you said, that actually makes complete sense. They're even talking about Metropolitan Hospital as well.
They finished I was on board with that. They finished the wall with that beautiful wall. But so you deal with FEMA. Is that FEMA money? That was FEMA money, wasn't it?
A lot of it is FEMA money, but we got FEMA money as well for all the other DDC, DEP, coastal resiliency projects that I mentioned. But yes, I mean that's where the gap is that's where the gap could be, right? There's still a lot of city capital on the resiliency projects in general. The H&H ones are a little different. We're not as involved in those, but we do advise on them. Those are really important. The one H&H site that we are working on that will be connected to the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project is Bellevue and the VA hospital, because they're right there, right before. It's like they're on like First Avenue right there. So our floodgates will actually help protect those two hospitals, which are major, of course.
Because there's a lot of
that's the bread and butter, right? Yeah. So, but I can, in terms of the in terms of the H&H project on Roosevelt, I'm happy to check in on it. Do you have concerns about it, or
there's a lot of controversy about it? So,
okay.
Because of the same berm project.
Okay. Francine, maybe we can, I will flag that, but would like to get some more information from you. Maybe we can talk on the phone tomorrow or on Monday, and would like to get more info there, because that's very helpful. And we can.
How can we contact you, sir?
Yeah. So let me try to. There's no everyone.
If you'd send it to me, I could post it in chat.
Yeah.
I sent it to Jonathan Kraus. It's at 6:30. I'm sorry. I'll do it again, Jonathan. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm not trying to hide. I promise. I try to be as accessible as I can.
Yeah.
As do all of us. So.
Is it the number I've been calling you on?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
John, if you don't have it, I will send it to you. Right.
I just put it in the thing. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I'll just post that.
Are there any other questions?
Barbara, after your question, I would love to ask Marty a question too.
Well,
Just
why don't
to
you ask
understand.
one first? I have a whole series. I have a page full of them.
Okay. First of all, Marty, I just wanted to thank you. It's so lovely to have you and hear all these details. Just when you speak of resiliency, what does that really mean? Like, what exactly are the measures? Because I know you've been speaking about them, but just for a layperson like me, what exactly does that mean? What would that involve?
I'll start. That's a great question, Sahar, and it's really good to meet you as well. And looking forward to working with both you and with Barbara and the rest of the committee. On the resiliency can mean a lot of things. I think a perfect example are the new floodgates that we're putting on the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project. So we have to keep New York City protected. We have to be resilient against future storms and weather events. So having a floodgate set up that goes feet high, that will be feet higher than where we were during Sandy at that water level. It'll be almost double of the height. Those will come up right before a storm. They'll protect our roads. They'll protect our infrastructure. They'll protect our hospitals. As I said, with like Metropolitan and with Bellevue and the VA.
Oh,
Those
that
are
was
the
horrible. Bellevue remember
it's
I mean,
terrible
I don't
during
know about
Sandy.
NYU, women giving birth had to walk downstairs, and it was awful.
And that's why, in terms of resiliency work, that's just one of the examples. But we always, and for whether it's resiliency and protecting our communities with those added things, I mean, you also have the smaller things. Putting green infrastructure on top of wastewater treatment. Poveris pavements, right? That's a tongue twister. Rain gardens, green roofs that I talked about earlier, right? A lot of it is where we can store all this additional rain, all this additional coming in, right?
Right.
But in terms of resiliency, we prioritize across the board hospitals, NYCHA. 1 in 10 New Yorkers live in NYCHA, and it is our top priority to protect NYCHA. Hospitals, of course, and then our major thoroughfares and schools. Those are, and then of course, all like medical clinics. So that's why I think, and as Barbara mentioned, we saw the horrors of Sandy, right?
Yeah.
And I joined the city right when Ida hit, and like President Biden did the walkthrough in Queens. I know we're not in Queens, but we're all New Yorkers. We're one city, and they were hit terribly, and they were also hit bad in the 29th. So like those are the different types of things we do around resiliency. On Staten Island, it's more blue belts, right? Where you have a lot of land, but you might be surrounded by water. The blue belts can really, also keep a lot of storage. Also, they also provide the public realm with a lot of aesthetic beauty, trails, hiking trails, different things like that. I've been meaning to get out there to the blue belts. But the rain gardens in Manhattan are very helpful. Anything that we can do to keep this island safe, that's resiliency.
Absolutely. I mean, like I remember Sandy, it was flooded, like our highway and the avenue, some of the avenues were just flooded. Just one quick thing. I recently went to DC and I saw like on the pavements on the sides, they have a little bit of a recessed and like a space, a larger space that if it rains, things like, the water would just drain easily, faster than ours. Is that something like kind of learning from other cities as well? Do you have some of those elements as well that might be in the future that you're thinking of? I know that's a bigger thing because things that are already in place, it's not easy to construct here, improve on them, but just having more space for the water to run through.
I'm just writing this down. So I'm going to be in DC next week, and I'm going to check that out. I might have to call you when I'm there to show you. But, so, I mean, I think a lot of that does come down to, what we discussed earlier about ponding and milling, right? I don't want to speak on it because I have not seen this for my own eyes. I'm also very new here, but a lot of that is, remilling and repaving, including the lifting like you're talking about. And that's something, that our BWSO, our Bureau of Water and Sewer, as well as DOT, I believe their paving and milling folks are called RRM. And that would be probably an example of, what they would do here. But again, I don't know if we currently do it. And I don't know if, I'm happy to check in and see what we can do on that end. But I do know that they were doing similar work in the last fiscal year. And I was actually just talking to one of our laborers last week, and he was like, when am I going to get to work with the DOT guys again? That was so cool working with them and doing the milling and the paving with the catch basins. So it's definitely something that we've shared with the commissioner. The COO who oversees them also has shared that. Not just there's a lot of stuff going on with the federal funding, right? A lot of eyes on it. The media, everybody's very laser focused. But one of the things I've learned very early is all politics is local, right? We still have to push our own mayor's office OMB. Those are still tough conversations. We have to work with the state. I see Assemblymember Seawright's office is on, who's also a great partner, a great aging chair.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we still push and pull with our city funding. and that's, and that's warranted because we can't overspend, right? But we also have to invest in
Right.
resiliency measures,
Right.
in climate adaptation strategies.
Because
Um,
more to
and
fix it up than it does to.
exactly.
If I may just ask one more question, Barbara, or do you want to
Sure.
go first?
Sure.
Just one thing. So, and I'm thinking of like a time like Sandy happened, right? Because that's like it was a game changer, I think, for all of us Manhattanites. Um, what should a neighbor, like what is our role at that point? Like you're mentioning those measures that will now be in place, God forbid if anything like that ever happens again, prayers that it never does, but if it does, we have all of that. But as a regular resident of, CB8, what should we do? Are there any measures? Because, you can see the water is flooding our roads. The sewerage is like there's a lot happening already. Is there something that we can play a role at that point in time? Are there any measures that you mention that we shouldn't be doing or should be doing? Is there anything at all? I think you're muted again.
Had a lot of meetings about that, certainly composting, and which
Yeah.
Yes.
I've become an avid
Yep.
composter. I love composting.
Me too. I truly do. That's a great question, Sahar. So we actually have a flooding 101 presentation, and we were going to do it tonight, but then like Barbara and I talked and
Yeah.
figured this would be an easier way to do
I'm
it.
not looking,
But
I'm hoping that we
Yeah.
finish before 7:30.
Citizens, members of the community play a vital role in emergencies. You got to have Notify NYC. Who gets Notify NYC alerts? I want to see some hands up. Does anybody get the Notify
All the
NYC?
hands will be up.
Good. So
We did
NICEM's
the meeting
done.
once. It's funny.
Our partners at NICEM have done a great job. They've made a bunch of improvements to the app. We've been trying to get the word out on that. Got to pay attention. Talk to your neighbors about getting like Notify NYC. Have an evacuation plan. Know where your nearest evacuation station is going to be. All of that can be accessed through Notify NYC through NICEM, right? When we give an order, if the mayor or the police commissioner or the NICEM commissioner gives an order to evacuate before a big storm, we're not just saying that to say it. Those are, paying close attention to what communications are coming out directly from the city of New York. And also the local news is also helpful, but really Notify NYC is where the direct messaging comes out on these types of things. And that's where I would really pay attention to. But yeah, make sure people have, a plan. Talk to them about it. NICEMs, I think they're called the CERT team or the NERT team.
Yes,
They're the neighborhood.
And we have
and
some
they-
people on our community board that are
Yeah.
active with it. Yeah.
And they do a great job too, really getting the word out on those different types of things. But neighbors got to help neighbors, and I think that's why making sure that you have a plan. Again, you have and you're willing to take and you're willing to trust. And I know it's tough, but what the messaging's put out. A lot of people talk. There's a lot of outside noise, but in emergencies like that, it's always helpful to go right to the source. But even then, we're connected with the phones too. So, if a weather alert comes on your phone, like just like a missing child alert, watch those.
Right.
Your phone will vibrate, right? So just pay close attention to what they're saying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I go next? Yes, anybody else, John?
No one else. No.
Okay. A couple of things. First of all, this has been something that's been bothering me for a couple of years. Rain gardens. What are they specifically? Where are they? I could tell you a specific reason I'm asking. Are they in a special place? Are they a special type of shrub of growth that should be there? Can they be just a tree guard, etc.?
Yeah, so they're really good for Manhattan because of the ponding, right? Like that's what they can absorb a lot of the ponding. They could literally be placed in planter boxes.
Any soil and flowers, or should it be something specific that we should be doing?
Well, I mean, it should be specific, but again, it should, like a rain garden, like a perfect location for a rain garden would be, somewhere where you already have, soil, where you already have plants, or if you have a space, right? If you have some space, you can put in some green infrastructure. That really helps with ponding. One of the things that we're pushing, at least Humberto and myself and others within the agency, is I would personally like to see more GI, more green infrastructure invested in Manhattan. We have a lot of it in other boroughs. Currently, we don't have any major rain garden projects. But with that said, I do think GI is needed, is even more needed here just because of the ponding themselves. But yes, anywhere where there's space. But again, that's all part of cloudburst and GI and rainburst. And GI is green infrastructure. So yeah, we are trying to push it more. They have to prioritize, of course, the Rockaways, the South Shore of Staten Island, but we're trying to, like, that's a blue belt, right? That's part of green infrastructure. But we need to do more here.
Can it be like around the trees when you plant flowers in the trees?
Yes.
Can we be
Yes.
telling our buildings that they shouldn't plant daisies, they should plant something else? Is there some guidelines?
I think that's a great question. I would love to say go ahead and do that. I would like to instruct the building managers and the owners to go and put out, to go plant certain plants and to install certain things. I would like to reach out to our head of green infrastructure, let her know, hey, we have concerned community board members. They would like to do more GI and rain gardens. What do they need to do? I want to get that direct.
There is one, and that would be private.
And then I could.
But there's one in a strange place. There's one on
yes, of course.
Between 87th Street. Huge. It starts at the end of CVS and goes all the way to the corner. The problem I have is that it's a bus stop there. There's a bus stop there. So I once got out when it was icy and snowy and sort of stuck in the street and I couldn't get through. It's a very strange place. Was it put there for a specific reason or just somebody didn't think about a lady like me that doesn't want to get out of a bus on the ice? You'll get back to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I sorry. I was just going to say that's I've marked the location. I'll look into why. But I mean, as a former Upper East Sider and seeing where we're getting our 311 complaints, like we do look at the data. Below Third Avenue, like Third Avenue, east of Third Avenue, is where we get more ponding complaints compared to Third or Lexington. But then we get a bunch off Fifth Avenue because of the park. So it may have been because they had gotten a bunch of, there were so many issues with ponding. First Avenue, York can get really wet as well as you get closer to the river. So that could have been one of the reasons. But again, I'm merely speculating as a citizen. I don't know, but I will get the answer.
Okay, great.
And it's on the M103 bus. Is that the line it's on?
What is the one? No, it's and Select Bus is right there. That's the Select Bus stop.
Yeah.
Is more on 87th. The local bus on 86th Street doesn't affect it. That stops.
M86. Yeah. Okay.
No, not the M86. It's the First Avenue bus. But the local stops on First Avenue closer to 86th Street. This one stops at 87th. But I think just generally, I would like to see more tree guards specific for rather than just prettiness. I mean, it could also be pretty, I think, so on.
Absolutely.
By the way,
a lot of this we do, Barbara, with like we do a lot of GI work with parks. And Tricia and I were talking a little bit about this yesterday, but their deputy commissioner for trees, basically oversees all the climate and the trees for parks. She works very closely with our commissioner for GI. We do a lot of joint work, especially outside of Manhattan, with parks on the like GI on the rain garden. So I'm happy to check in with Melissa Enoch. She's our lead for GI and see about.
I would love to give me a call and let me know. I'd be interested.
I might not have all the ansers tonight.
No,
but,
you may not.
I will get them for you. We're all about follow up.
Let me make one comment. Are they, when DOT redoes the sidewalks, are they using different pavement? is there pavement that's more porous, or?
They try to use the porous pavement. Also, great job in pronouncing that. I think you did it better than I did. The porous pavement.
Oh, I had
Yeah.
it.
So that is what we recommend, and I think DOT makes a good effort of doing that. But I don't want to answer for DOT. That wouldn't be fair. So I'm happy to check in with them though.
Barbara, can I ask one thing?
Sure.
Okay.
Is that okay? I mean, not asking actually, but just thinking out loud that since I'm hearing from, what Barbara is mentioning, and Marty, what you're
I
saying.
just want to say that there is a
Okay.
time limit, so maybe we'll get right to the point. I'm trying to get right to the point, okay?
Yes,
Marty
yeah,
has to
yeah.
leave at 7:30.
Okay. Just
We
okay.
should be good for about if I get cut off at 7:30, I'll try to call in, but 7:40 or 7:35, if that's okay.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, I was just wondering, Marty, that is it possible that there is a recommendation that is sent to all the building managers or managements about which plantation is the best for this? Because most have like, over spring, they are like planting something or like otherwise. So like kind of have a,
That's
like,
what Marty
send it
said
to
you will
everyone. Yeah,
send.
what Barbara was
That's when
saying.
you
Yeah.
decide what to do. Once we do that, we may have it. I have so many other questions.
Sahar, yes,
The
yes.
water. Let me
I'll
just
talk to
ask, so
them.
you monitor water.
Thank you, Marty.
What's going to happen with fluoride? Are you keeping fluoride in our water?
I will send you. I'll send you some points there. I think
You're not allowed to say.
we do not agree with. I'll just say this. And first, Sahar, I'll talk to them about talking to the building owner and like talking to the building managers. We communicate with them a lot about water main breaks and the private issues they have from the operational side. So we do have those relationships with a lot of the big ones. Let me talk to the team and see what we can do there. But going back to Barbara, and I have this listed for action as well. Barbara, please feel and folks would love to get your contact from. Please send me your contact info after this. I'm happy to follow up directly with each of you. But what I want to say to that is, we do not agree with the secretary on that. With that being said, Riverkeeper and they're still a big organization. We work closely with Riverkeeper, but I don't know.
Riverkeeper
There's a lot
was
of
Kennedy's organization, right?
It was, but he's no longer. I don't think he's any longer involved. But again, I don't want to talk about personalities.
Well,
I would say that the Riverkeeper does great work still. They push for all of our bills, especially around climate change and environmental justice. They work with We Act for Environmental Justice, which is a group based up in Harlem. They are one of the most effective and powerful EJ groups. Her name is Peggy Shepard. She is a absolute legend in this field. So they do a lot. Riverkeeper does a lot in Manhattan and New York City. They also do a lot in the Hudson Valley and other parts of upstate New York at the state level too, where we have waterways. But that's not something that we're on. There's alignment on.
And is there lead in the water? I heard that there was lead in the water.
We constantly test for that. DEC, the State Department of Environmental Conservation, they're really the overseers of all the waterways in terms of that. But then we get involved too when it comes to our city water main. Replacing lead service lines are really big priorities for us. It's a really big priority for the commissioner. And it's something we're also pushing at the state level in Albany as well. We were working on it last year. Any sort of talking to the water, we take very, very seriously. In fact, not just on the river side or the bay side, but even at our watersheds, we have our own DEP police department. They're New York City police officers, armed. They have helicopters, the whole nine, and they're up there to protect the water infrastructure for New York City from any sort of threats to the city on that. And that's a big issue now. Like that is a huge, it's a huge security issue. So they do a great job of doing that up there. And then, of course, we have our scientists, and DEC has scientists that do a lot of the lead testing.
Right. Okay. One more question and one more comment. Catch basin. What exactly are they? Where are they? I think Judy said they could be seen. I've never seen a catch basin, I don't think. Where is it? Underneath something? Are you
Can you
muted?
repeat it again?
So sorry about that. So you can, if you walk outside tonight and you look at, an intersection, right? Like if you're on the base of the sidewalk, right, and you're about to cross the street, I would encourage you to look to the left, and you'll see right there the catch basins right there with the, and that picks up a lot of that. Basically leads to the storm drains. So catch basins is where a lot of the like runoff goes into. I can try to get a picture if you want, really quick. Hold on.
I'll take a look and
And before every storm, we go and clear. We have operations clear the catch basins.
Mhm.
and then leave.
Not every block, right? But they're around. So like, let me hold on, get a good picture for you. Before a major storm, operations goes out and they check and they clean the catch basins so that there's no overflow from the catch basins. They don't break because they're so important to keep the water, to like keep that water runoff from overflowing and pouring back out. So we keep it moving through there. But again, that's like the number one prep that we do immediately is clearing and cleaning the catch basins. Oh, here's a perfect example right here.
You can share you. John, can
Yeah.
you share?
Mhm.
Hold on.
And then while you're doing that, I'm going to ask a quick question. We as a community board, as you know, can have a resolution that will go, wait, before that, I'm very sorry. Rebecca's office, they're still there. Is there anything you want to say that the assembly member has been doing, or listen, can go back and tell her what to do?
I can just wait until after Marty's done if you'd like.
Okay, we can stay on and you can.
Yeah, that works.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks. Okay, Marty. So what I was saying is that we as a community board sometimes have resolutions to say, for instance, I was co-chair of the Health Seniors Committee and we did a similar thing. What happens if Medicare or Medicaid, what are you preparing? We had one to urge, I mean, I don't know what good it would do, but to urge our city, state to be prepared and federal to not do it. Is there anything you would be helpful to you for us to do, or you don't think it's necessary?
I think we can get all. I think we could use all the help we could get, and that's something again that I brought back to see. Hey, people want. It's not. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's not just CB8. There's so many members of the public that have reached out, not just to our agency, but to our immigrant affairs for migrants and asylum seekers. To the healthcare agencies, right? How can we help? How can we help schools? How can we help? Right? And I think that's something that we probably need to do a better job on is connecting New Yorkers with organizations. But I will say I do think our elected partners. I know Dylan's on from the member's office. I've seen some really good messaging from our elected partners on how people can get involved. I know I was on the West Side yesterday, and I think it was Hoylman Siegel's office and Gail Blake Brewer's office. They have a ton of public messaging on how to keep the community involved and how they can help. So,
14th is going to be a major rally that I plan on.
Yes. And again, I don't want to get into politics here, but at the same time, I think this is something that we see all the time, right? We're getting more and more questions, and really it's for the public good. So
what would you want the resolution to say? Like, would you want us to urge our electeds on the federal level, the same type of thing on the federal level? Please respect our environment. We have this and do not do cuts to it. On the city and state, please be prepared and continue doing your great work in terms of would that be a good resolution? Does somebody want to I don't know who else from the community board is on.
But Judy's there too.
Judy, do
I'm
you want,
Judy's
trying to
there,
address
Bradley
the-
is there.
yeah.
what?
Ellen is also with us.
Yeah, I second Barbara's resolution as she stated.
Okay,
And also it should say, please don't cut funding.
well, that's what the purpose of it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Not that
So,
they do a great job.
Mike,
Not only do they do a great job, but that the funding shouldn't be cut for New York City.
Okay,
Yes, we
Dylan
agree.
is listening to this.
a few of the, just to answer both questions really quickly, because I do, it's going to
You have
happen
to
any
go.
point now. But what I do want to say is on the advocacy stuff. I mean, we've got some great organizations in New York City that are already doing that. The Waterfront Alliance, We Act, Riverkeeper, not the old boss, but like the current Riverkeeper. There's NRDC, the Natural Resources Defense Council. There's a ton, there's the Alliance for Parks, all the Parks Alliances. There's the New York's Parks. I'm not giving an endorsement of any of these groups officially. I'm just saying they are available. They are around and they're out there doing the work. But in terms of resolution, that's and we work with community boards all the time on resolutions. I wholeheartedly appreciate that, but I would need to I want to bring that to the executive team, because that would be something that we would have to discuss internally on. However, it is very flattering and it's appreciative that you would be willing to join us on supporting our projects. But again, I have to bring that to
I
people
think
a little
what we
above that pay
would
grade.
do would not be I think what we would do would not be controversial at all. To say, please continue the funding, I can't imagine is controversial.
Again, I would like to, I mean, I think it would be great. But I would like to check with my team if that's okay. I'll have an answer for you by Monday.
Tomorrow. We'll speak tomorrow.
I try to talk. I mean,
won't write
my
my
line
minutes,
is open. If I'm not on something, my line is open. As I try to make myself available as much as I
I've
can.
been very well aware and very appreciative of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We could just vote on it, and if he calls you and says it's okay to go ahead, fine. If not, then you
That's
could
right.
just leave it out of the minutes. That's all.
So
I think
Ellen
that's a better idea.
Sills-Malavi is our public member. Isaac isn't on, is he, John? He's the other public member that I met very briefly. And it's
Oh.
Judy and Sahara and me.
And Brad is
You
there.
can vote,
Brad
Ellen
with you.
Sills-Levy, you can vote if you're still on.
Brad,
Brad is there.
Oh, Brad is on, wonderful.
I think let's just vote. I like
Is
Judy's idea.
anybody voting no or not for cause or abstaining?
Sorry, could you state the resolution again?
Basically, it will be, but it will okay it with you. Basically, to ask the Congress to please continue the funding, and to ask our state and city to prepare for it and to try to be prepared for anything to continue what we are doing.
All right. Yeah, I'll let my folks know. But
And I'll talk to you tomorrow. And
yeah, please. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're all aligned.
I will make sure that it is, but we're voting yes on it unless you say no.
I'm abstaining from any
Oh, no,
votes.
you can't vote. You can't vote on
Okay.
it. The community board can.
Marty, this is our process because we just vote
That's
and
right.
then, yeah. And if you approve, we'll go ahead with it. Otherwise not.
Yeah, but if you say don't do it, we won't.
Yeah. Judy has something to say.
Okay, Judy.
call the question.
We did. We said it.
No, we didn't. We
Okay.
just put
Call
the
the question.
resolution.
Is anybody voting no, not voting for cause, or abstaining? Then it's unanimous. Okay.
Can I ask one quick question before
Go.
we leave? Commissioner, you mentioned the resiliency work from 23rd to 26th or wherever. We're particularly interested in that project because our Hunter students from up here have been displaced, as you probably know from going back there, until the resiliency work on that wall is done. Is there any date on that or approximate date for the completion of that work?
I can get back to you. It's Hunter College, and it's behind Hunter. So what is that on
That's
Madison or?
around 26th and First, the river. You know, you're doing
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
So that's where their class, the nursing school is down there. So they've been moved uptown and all over, Baruch and all over, while this wall is being built.
well, that's the ESCR. Yeah, that's the project we've been talking about.
Yeah, right. So what I'm asking, is there any approximate completion date?
We are set to open one of the main portions of it close to Astra Levy in the next few weeks. I do not have a definitive yet from the Department of Design and Construction. The moment we get it, we will share it with Jonathan and Will and everybody else at the CB, including you. Okay.
Okay.
That's and that's the other thing too. And Berto's great about this as well. Whenever we get big openings, big news like that, we love to get it out to our CB partners. Barbara, quickly going back to the like resolution, and I just sent John something as well. Again, I'm here in official capacity, and I have complete respect for the procedures that the whole parliamentary procedure that you have. It would be but I would appreciate the opportunity just to allow me to notify our executive team that something might be
If you want to
coming.
speak tomorrow or Monday, you'll
That would be very helpful. I just want to make sure, because we're here I'm like here in official capacity.
I understand completely,
Okay.
Marty. Marty, I know you have to go, and we just want to
Thank you.
say thank you so much. And then we're going to hear from Dylan, but we want to say thank you so much for what you've done. And you've been so cooperative, and we've talked so much, and I found this extremely interesting and important. So we're getting back here. If you do find out something about plantings that we could tell our buildings and maybe do something with the buildings, that would be great. The resolution and anything else you will, but I'll be in touch with you.
Thank you so
Great,
much.
Barbara. Thank
This
you.
was amazing. Thank you so
No,
much.
and it's the first of many. Like, I'm here for you. I'm here to work with all of you. So is Humberto.
You'll
So
help
is our
getting
team.
somebody in a slightly different point of view. Maybe the green work that they want to do and everything would be
Anytime.
The city
We're always here to come and
it's a
join.
little difficult.
Yeah.
We don't have, very few of us would have solar paneling on our roofs or things like that when we live in big buildings. But
Let's talk tomorrow and let's pick the topic, and it'll either be DEP or we'll try to get MOCJ to come up here. But the other part of this too is
for introducing me to you.
no worries. 100%. We're always here to help. And again, I wish I had all the answers, but
we don't expect that. You can't have all. We know the concern, and certainly you don't know the answers about what's about to happen.
I have to hop off, but thank you, Dylan. Thank you, everyone from all the legislative offices as well. All right.
Thank you.
Hi, Marty. Barbara, I think Caroline, from Councilmember Power's office, she has requested if she can go next.
Okay, Carolyn.
And we have Christine from Mark Levine's office. Yeah.
Hi, Mom. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Carolyn. I didn't recognize the name as being from Carolyn. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Thank you for coming.
So I'm Carolyn. I cover the Upper East Side for Councilmember Keith Powers, and I'll be quick. I just wanted to share some of the ways our office is working to make the city more sustainable. So I'm going to talk about cooling centers and water fountains and electrifying the city fleet and trees and a few other things. Okay, so I'll start with cooling centers. So we know that summers are getting brutally hot, and New Yorkers, many don't have access to air conditioning. This is not just about comfort, it's a serious health issue. A statistic that honestly really shocked me was that 580 New Yorkers die every year because of hot weather. So that's why Councilmember Powers is introducing legislation to codify cooling centers into city law. So the city has historically operated cooling centers when temperatures spike, but the practice isn't yet codified into city law. So we want to make sure that all New Yorkers, especially our vulnerable neighbors, have somewhere safe to escape dangerous temperatures.
Libraries and things like that, specific places?
Yes, and we want to get this codified,
Okay.
made official. So then water fountains. So access to clean, safe drinking water is a human right and another major priority for the council member. His Hydration for All Act got a hearing before the city council, and the bill would require 500 new water fountains by 2030. Electrifying helicopters. So this is you might have
Let me
read about
just ask about the water fountain. So in parks, so we're not on the streets or
all
things,
over.
even on the sidewalks and things
Um,
like
I'll have to check exactly with the
that? Okay.
legislative director about
Probably
where
in
those are
parks.
expected
Great.
and where that's possible.
That's so interesting.
So electrifying helicopters, this was in the news recently. The council member has been trying to tackle air quality issues. So non-essential helicopters not only create harmful emissions, they also disturb the peace. In 2023 alone, New Yorkers filed more than 59,000 311 noise complaints about helicopters. So the council recently passed, and the council member had co-sponsored the Helicopter Oversight Act, which requires helicopter operators to adhere to strict federal noise standards, and that will incentivize companies to upgrade to electric choppers, which are also cleaner and quieter than the ones we have now. So this is not going to be for essential operations like law enforcement or emergency helicopters. This is meant to target those sort of sightseeing tours and the luxury commuter flights that are operating out of city helicopter heliports. So in the theme of electrification, a few years ago, the council member introduced and the council passed legislation requiring the city to transition the entire municipal fleet to zero emission vehicles by 2035. So that's being rolled out this year. And ultimately, the city will electrify the entire fleet of nearly 30,000 vehicles. So a lot of electric cars on the street. And we'll do something really small scale, money for trees. Every year, our office funds trees and tree guards throughout the district. I'll do a quick plug for one of my favorite city resources, which is the tree species map, where you can identify each tree on your block by species. And then since I know this is also the sanitation committee, I'll just talk about our work funding ACE, which is a contract sanitation crew. If you have litter issues on your block, or if you have a catch basin that needs to be cleaned, please email me a photo and I could send out an ACE crew within hours to do a spot clean. They usually take before and after photos, which are very satisfying. Yeah, so that's a lot I just threw at you, but
Love that,
A lot of
Caroline.
pictures. I will say that I sat at the street fair, and the sanitation, the garbage pails was a major discussion. Uh, so I think we need new garbage pails. I know Julie is also involved in that also. We need, the garbage pails are terrible. The ones that open up, they don't shut. It's just not worth it, and it's dirty.
we were just talking to DSNY about this week.
I
So
so
it's
hard.
been
Our
in
next
the
meeting
works.
could be about sanitation, but I don't know what, we have so many things. I wish we had 5 meetings a month to cover
Thank you
everything.
for the work,
As
Caroline.
long as I don't have to write the minutes for it. But um, that's a major issue. So Carolyn, oh, that's great. Give
But
them a
really
plug
feel
for
free to
us.
send me if there's a spot on your block that's has persistent litter issues, or if you just see a
So
catch
you're the one on
basin
page 7.
clogged. I'll put my email in here. Please feel free to send me photos, and we'll try to get a crew out there as soon as
Is it
possible.
okay if I live on the other side of the railroad tracks? I'm on Second Avenue. Do
Well,
I send it to
then
you?
we
Or do I send it to Julie?
that would be Julie's office, but they also work with ACE too, and I'm sure they can respond quickly as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you so much for having me all.
Well, thank you.
Bye, Caroline.
And Dylan, is there anybody else from the elected officials, or is it just Dylan?
There's
Rebecca's
also
on.
Stephen,
Right, can we have Dylan?
Borough President's office.
Does
Yes.
John know? Okay, John, can you unmute Dylan? Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Dylan Klein. I'm the legislative aide to Assemblymember Rebecca Seawright, and I'm pleased to join you guys tonight from Albany to discuss one of the most important topics of our time, protecting our environment. I want to say thank you to the wonderful co-chairs for hosting this and for all the work that you guys do for this committee and for Community Board 8. As chair of the Committee on Aging, Assemblymember Seawright knows how important our parks and green spaces are to not just the youth in our district, but the elders of our district as well. We only have one planet, and we must take steps to protect green spaces like John Jay Park, Carl Schurz Park, and Fort Freedom State Park. We also see the attacks coming out from Washington that are especially targeting New Yorkers, our values, and our laws. To date, we have already seen the Trump administration cancel projects that would have produced jobs and green energy for the state of New York, such as the offshore wind project, and direct Attorney General Pam Bondi to use the Department of Justice to be an arm of corporate polluters like Exxon and BP and litigate our environmental laws, such as the Climate Change Superfund Act, which will target the largest corporate polluters for the harm that they have done to our environment. Let us be very clear. We will not acquiesce in our fight to protect our laws, our citizens, and our way of life. Our office applauds and stands in support of Attorney General Letitia James as she fights to protect not just our environment, but all New Yorkers who are at risk due to the reckless and feckless attacks from the Trump-Musk-Vance administration. In Albany, we recently passed our state budget with several wins for our environment. This is the state's response to a hostile federal government and a document that reflects our strong New York values. That is why, for the very first time, New York is investing over $1 billion to fight climate change head on. About half of that investment will go towards cutting pollution, promoting thermal energy networks, and finally getting ground broken on critical climate projects at several SUNY and CUNY schools. Furthermore, Assemblymember Seawright, along with her majority colleagues, secured a $250 million investment to help support our local governments and businesses procure electric vehicles and the charging infrastructure needed to support them. This will alleviate a large burden on school transportation and work to lower taxes for families who need it the most. Finally, the Assembly majority secured another $200 million dedicated towards maintaining and improving our power grid and public renewable energy projects. The New York State Assembly only has 16 days left in its 2025 session. That is why Assemblymember Seawright is fighting hard to pass legislation such as bills to adopt a sustainability and decarbonization program, the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act, the Clean Fuel Standard of 2025, and directing CHIPS funding to be used for the construction of greenway trails. With the summer months right around the corner, we hope to enjoy a safe and relaxing summer in the 76th Assembly District, and we can't wait to see you all around. We have an upcoming Shred-a-thon on Thursday, May 20, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in front of the Chase Bank at the corner of 79th and York, where you can come get your old documents shredded in an environmentally friendly way and protect your identity at the same time. Please feel free to come visit us in our storefront office at 1485 York Avenue if you ever need assistance or just want to pop in and say hello during the summer months, and our team will be happy to assist you. Thank you once again for having me, and look forward to speaking with you all and partnering with you all in the future. And I do also want to thank our elected partners as well in the council members' offices, borough president office, DEP, who was here earlier. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. I do drop in to say hello, by the way. I like your people that are there. Sahara, I'll talk to the co-chairs, but I think that hearing what the state is doing would be next. I don't know when our next meeting is. It's probably in 3 months, but it would be an important thing to do. There's so many important things. Thank you, and please thank Rebecca, our assemblywoman, for that. And I will drop by and say hello. The borough president's office is not here. Am I right, John?
He's here.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's here.
who is here?
Steven.
Hi.
Hi, Steven.
Hi.
Hey, folks. I'm Stephen Morales. I'm the new policy director at Borough President Levine's office. So definitely thrilled to be part of your meeting tonight, and just have a few things to add here, but really appreciate all the other electeds and DEP for being here. But I mean, I think it goes without saying our city's climate resiliency needs to be a top priority, and that's both short and long term. Folks have spoken about this already, but we've seen the impacts of extreme weather already, right? The summers are hotter, storms are stronger. We've seen wildfires, so we need to be prepared as a city. And again, it's come up in this meeting too, but climate resiliency impacts so many different components of our city and city government, our daily budget, or sorry, our city budget, our daily lives. So just really quickly, the borough president's work on climate change and resiliency. I want to give you some key areas and examples. So first, and Marty spoke about this a bit, but modernizing and fortifying our coastline is crucial. So the borough president has supported projects across the borough, prioritizing high risk or low-lying areas. Several of those projects around Manhattan include the West Side, the Battery Project, Battery Park City. The borough president's called for doing more work south of the Brooklyn Bridge by removing the FDR down there and turning that into a climate resilient area. Harlem River resiliency, additional Manhattan Greenway projects in Harlem and along the East River Esplanade. We're also exploring additional funding that would close the East River Esplanade gap right now, which is between 107th and 117th, to really long-term complete the Manhattan Greenway around the entire borough, because that is not only pleasant to be able to walk and bike around, but that is climate infrastructure as well. The borough president's also called for creating a new New York City waterfront protection agency. The goal here would be a single unified agency that would lead the design, construction, management, and governance of coastal resiliency projects. And it would really focus on that waterfront resilience infrastructure. And infrastructure particularly that's the hardest to build and maintain. And this is important, where no agency has clear jurisdiction. Sometimes there are gray areas or overlaps and things like that, and we really believe that a waterfront protection agency would help to resolve a lot of that. There's a ton more work to do. The mayor's budget really does under budget for resiliency work, and so we need to keep pushing for that budget to grow. Number two, and this is important for the borough president, is investing in our parks. Our parks are climate infrastructure. So the borough president's consistently been calling for 1% of our city budget to be dedicated to our parks. We just submitted testimony to the city council the other day in support of that as well. And part of that ask includes fully funding our parks department staff. Right now, the parks department is short over 700, close to 800 staff members. And so we are calling for those staff positions to be fully funded and baselined. Those are the staff who maintain parks. Those are the staff who monitor conditions. Those are the staff who make sure that our brush is cleared, things like that. Our urban park rangers, our PEP officers, they're essential for our city. So calling for that. The Million More Trees project, we are still pushing to keep expanding the number of trees across the city, including new trees, street trees, trees in parks, and again, trees are more than just beautiful, though they are beautiful. They are climate infrastructure. They help cool our air. They cool the streets. And they actually have mental health and other benefits as well. And I think Marty was saying this earlier. They help with water and clearing storm water. Last but certainly not least is protecting against federal cuts. We know the federal administration has already attacked our city, and we need to be prepared for the potential of future budget cuts. Many of the most important and largest projects before us today rely on federal funding. And so we need to make sure that we are prepared for if and when those projects end up on the chopping block. The borough president has been, again, consistent in calling for increasing our city budget reserves by $2 billion. That means in our reserve fund and our rainy day fund as additional insurance in the event that the city loses funding. Right now, that those reserves have not been increased in the executive budget, and so we are pushing for those reserves to be increased. And we also have to be strategic in funding projects moving forward. We need to be thoughtful about how are we using state and city funds to make sure that that we are spending funds effectively, and also being prepared. And the last note I'll just share is just on things that the community board could do, and you all do great work, but you know, first ensuring that city government knows where the problem spots are and continue to bring those up to be addressed. Fighting alongside partners like us, and Councilmember Powers has been a strong voice too for the municipal funding that we need at the city level. And then last but not least, look for, you all are looking at budget documents. You also are seeing how things are implemented in the community, and look for ways that we can improve efficiency so we're spending our dollars more efficiently. Again, that's the climate that we're in right now, and we need to be prepared for it.
I just want to say that we've had the borough president come. I don't remember how long. I can't remember the woman that came to speak, and the name slips. I remember what she looks like, who talked about local law 97 and the Million Tree Initiative, and so many of the things that you've mentioned, and we've actually had resolutions supporting it. So what's the woman's name? Do you
Oh,
remember?
it might be Keisha.
Give me the
It
name.
might have been
Wasn't Keisha.
Sawaiba.
No, it
And-
wasn't Sohaiba. This is Sohaiba
Okay.
for her. And I don't think it was Keisha, Barbara, right?
No, I don't.
I think it was
I've
someone
dealt
else.
with a woman, so he'll have it. Maybe she's not there, and I
Yeah,
actually
someone
met her a
else.
couple of other
Okay.
times.
Well, if you remember, let me know,
Thank you,
and
but I just want you
I'll
to
say
know
thank
that
you.
Mark has been, and during COVID, when he was on the council and the head of health, he came to many of the meetings that I was running to talk about COVID and what he's doing. So Mark has been a very important member of the committees that I've been involved with and so on. So we really appreciate it. I mean, we so proud of the elected officials we have and their values. So
Well,
thank you.
I'm glad to hear that, and we are here to support you. So John has my email
Hear
address
from
and
us.
contact info.
Yes.
So and of course you know Sawaiba and Eric and all those great folks. So yes, we are here, and I'm glad to hear that you felt supported and heard.
Right. Thank you so much. Is there anybody else, John, from Hannah didn't come from the
No, Barbara.
Congress?
That's it. And thanks, Stephen, for being here and sharing all those details. No, Barbara, that's it.
Okay, is John still on?
Still here? Yes.
Yeah, great, thanks. I know that John is monitoring Sahara, so anybody else? Or should we say good night? This has been for me, a very interesting meeting, and I will say the time that I spent talking to Marty with all the discussion has been fascinating also. So I was very happy with it. John, any other Judy?
Judy, yes.
Yeah, move to adjourn. It's been a very good meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Okay, good night, everybody.
Thank you.